the question that's always hovered around for me is what came first, the plant or the religion?
Yeah.
The sense of other consciousness or higher consciousness, let's call it that, rather than religion, or are simply accidental stumbling across these substances that gave us the inkling and the insight
Yeah.
that we could conjure up in the abstract elsewhere without using the drug. What do you
Yeah.
have? Do you have? I know it's unanswerable, but do you have some thoughts about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there is good reason to believe that certain drug experiences, and I think psychedelics I would put high in that list, um, have contributed to cultural evolution by giving people visions that they then interpreted in many cases as evidence of the divine or evidence of an unseen world, of a higher consciousness, and with good reason. I mean, how else would you interpret some of these things? I mean, we can interpret it in terms of brains, doing things, but before science, before our much more materialist, physicalist way of interpreting the universe, of course it seemed like communication with the divine or with some other realm. And
So of course you would integrate it into sacraments and rituals. That would
yeah,
of
it
course be
makes
the
much more
natural.
sense than any other way to interpret it. And so again, we can't prove this, but that the ingestion of certain plants and fungi helped inspire religion at some point seems like very plausible to me. I mean, I look at drugs as forces that provide kind of mutations in culture. They mutate, they create memes, they create variation, new ideas, insights, metaphors, and most of them are stupid. I mean, people have a lot of like dumb drug experiences, but every now and then, the encounter of one of those molecules with a mind produces an idea, an image, an interpretation of how the cosmos works. That and scientific breakthroughs and artistic breakthroughs, that it changes the course of cultural evolution. And so I think drugs are one of the forces that act on culture the way, say, solar radiation acts on our biology to produce variation and mutations.
Yeah,
It's very parallel.
in my own life, I have written things, and then I've had some kind of drug experience in which I have thought again about what I have written, and I have seen it in a completely different light. And in fact, I've often like figured out I missed something,
Mm.
and I need to go back and put it in there. I'll give you one example of that.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
I when I wrote Virtually Normal in '95, which was this very tightly argued case for gay marriage. Essentially, it was
Hmm.
very logical. It took everything in its own space, and I
And
thought
way
it was
before its time.
yes, but it was also I thought it was airtight.
Hmm.
And then I went dancing with MDMA, and halfway through the dance, I'm like, you know what? I haven't told the reader why I'm interested in this subject at all.
Mm.
Like, the reader doesn't know why I care. So I have to write a little foreword explaining my life and how it interacts with these arguments. And that remains by far the most popular part of the book. Um, and it brought out stuff in me. Now, I wasn't writing while high, but and I think the key for me is that it takes your ego out a little bit. And it's your
Mm.
ego that's preventing you from doing your best work.